board meeting tonight. If we could, Mr. Ackerman, would you please call the roll? Crawford?
Here.
Goddard?
Here.
Graff?
Here.
Hall?
Here.
Harris?
Here.
Hopkins?
Here.
Josting?
Here.
Longfellow?
Here.
Mennel?
Here.
Milam?
Here.
Mingus?
Here.
Nelms?
Here.
Phillips?
Here.
Frail?
Here.
Rich Simpson?
Here.
Schmidtall? Schneider?
Here.
Sin?
Here.
Stahl?
Here.
Stump?
Here.
Woodrow? Chairman Grimm? You have a quorum. Thank you very much. If we may rise for the invocation and pledge. Lord, as we come before you this evening, we thank you once more for the blessings in our life and the things that you've graced us with. We do our best to honor you and to serve the others as we may, and we just appreciate the chance to do so. Help us to do that which honors you with our words and actions, and help us to do all that we can to continue to honor. Be with and keep us in Jesus' name. Amen. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you all so much. Moving on to item C, is there any communications from members of the public or county employees? All right, thank you. Moving on to communications from elected and appointed county officials. I have one, but is there anybody else at the moment? All right, thank you. Then what I'll do is we've got a proclamation in our packets. This is the National Emergency Management Awareness Month, and so there's congressional proclamation. And forgive me, but you're all going to have to bear with me as I read this, as I don't read out loud very well. So here we go. Whereas emergencies and disasters can occur unexpectedly, posing significant threats to life, property, and the environment. And whereas local emergency managers across all sectors, community leaders, state governments, and the Federal Emergency Management Agency dedicate countless hours to developing preparedness, response, recovery, and mitigation programs to protect the lives and property of all persons living in the United States and U.S. territories. And whereas emergency managers across the United States and the U.S. territories are charged with establishing and maintaining the capabilities necessary to effectively direct, coordinate, and support emergency and disaster response and recovery efforts. And whereas the mission areas of prevention, protection, mitigation, response, and recovery align with the core capabilities identified in the National Preparedness Goal. And whereas the emergency managers serve the nation by responding to countless emergencies and disasters each year, demonstrating commitment, compassion, and professionalism in protecting the public. And whereas the efforts of our nation's emergency managers have helped millions of the community members across the United States recover, rebuild, and become more resilient in the face of adversity. Now, therefore, we, Brett Grimm and the Tazewell County Board, do hereby proclaim the month of August as National Emergency Management Awareness Month in Tazewell County, Illinois, in conjunction with National Preparedness Month in September. With the support of the International Association of Emergency Managers, the National Emergency Management Association, and local emergency managers, I urge all U.S. community members to express their sincere appreciation for emergency managers in every sector who work diligently to prepare, protect, and serve our cities, counties, states, tribes, territories, regions, and organizations against all hazards and risks. Respectfully submitted this 27th day of August, 2025. So going along with that, we have an Emergency Management Agency overview by Dawn Cook. She's been doing this for a long time, and she's brought some people here that they get to talk a little bit about as she gets to share with us. So thank you, Dawn.
Good evening, and thank you for letting me speak today. And this month has been National Emergency Preparedness Month, and again, next month is the just regular Emergency Preparedness Month, I should say. And so I did give you a handout in each of your seats, and it talks about our mission and values, and then it also has a little pamphlet So it talks about just personal preparedness. So you can either, if you are already personally prepared, you can share that with someone else. And then I put my card here as well. You're always welcome to contact me at any time. And you're also welcome to come out to any of our meetings, or if you want to just come and visit with me and talk about what we do, I would love to have you. All right, so our first slide is just talking about our mission and vision there. And again, you have that on your handout. And then next, I'm going to talk about 6 kind of key items. It was hard for me to kind of break it down because honestly, I could talk about this for a long time. Because I really do love my job. I got my start in the county over 30 years ago at the health department. My last job there was their emergency preparedness coordinator. And then I moved over to emergency management, which I really, really do love. I didn't know what I wanted to be when I grew up, but I did find my ideal job, I think. So we're going to talk about some things that I have listed here, and our next one is the core functions. So our core functions is really like what we do kind of as a whole. Like I said, when I tried to break it down, like I could talk about this for a long time. So we do planning and preparedness activities. That's a lot of what we do kind of every day. We write a lot of plans. We're working with our municipalities. We're working with other stakeholders, whether it might be a local law enforcement or it might be Age Central, which was formerly like the Illinois Central Agency on Aging. So it just depends on what need is arising in the community that we're trying to deal with. Also, we deal with natural hazards, technological hazards, and human-caused hazards. We actually do a list of like our top 10 hazards, and we put that in our emergency operations plan. So those are the things that we think drive our planning. So we look at those and we see where our deficits are, and we try to fill those. And our next slide that we're going to have in a couple, I will show you that we are a very, very small staff. So I'm the only full-time person there. So I have to do a lot with others and the coordination there. We also assist in incident response coordination, and that's where we have a good cache of volunteers. And we have broken those into 3 teams currently, and I'll talk about that kind of at the end because I want to do a volunteer highlight tonight. We also do disaster recovery support and long-term recovery. So as you know, in any incident, you can take the one that happened this morning. The incident happens and then it's over, but there's stuff that comes after that. And so emergency management helps with the recovery efforts and the long-term recovery efforts that go on and on and on. If you go back to our Washington event, what they call the Washington event, that recovery went on for probably like 2.5 years after. Just you don't really hear about that because that's not the sexy stuff, right? But the incident happens, and then we help get people back to where they need to be in any kind of disaster. We also do public information and warning systems. We recently have iPaws. That does not have to do with cats or dogs, but it's an integrated public alert and warning system. And so now, if we needed a message to go out to all our county residents, we could do that. We did not have that capability 5 years ago, but we do now. And then we have our Emergency Operations Center. So on our next slide, you're going to see the infamous building that sits out across from the health department. That's where my office is located. We have myself as a full-time person. I have 2 part-time employees. And then I have, like I said, the cache of volunteers. We have 50 volunteers, and I have 5 team leads and assistants for our teams. And then we have 45 regular volunteers. And these are people that show up all the time for me. And again, we'll talk about that in a minute. In addition to that, I do liaison, like I said, with fire, EMS, our key stakeholders, which could be maybe the coroner, the sheriff, some of our people that we have in the county as well, highway. And then we also work with our regional and state partners. So when you look at your county emergency management, the next level is the Illinois Emergency Management Agency. And then the top tier is the Federal Emergency Management Agency. Because a lot of people don't understand that it's kind of a tiered system. So we're at the local level. So while we're county, I do reach out to our municipalities and I encourage them to have like an emergency operations plan for their own jurisdiction. So that way, if they're preparing in their own jurisdiction, then it's less that they would maybe need our services. And while I don't have a bunch of equipment that I can come bring them, I try to understand where those things are that we can go and get them. If we don't have them locally, then we reach out to the state of Illinois, and usually they get things through like IDOT, and they have their own little emergency operations center as well. Okay. Another thing that we do is really public engagement, and so I missed one. Okay, key plans and protocols. I forgot about that one. So we do a lot of planning. So there are 5 plans that we have to do with the Illinois Emergency Management Agency to stay accredited. So we get our accreditation through them so that we can get grant funds into Tazewell County. And so these plans are always updated, and they are sometimes a little lengthy, but they kind of outline how we're going to operate during maybe a certain disaster. Our hazard mitigation plan looks at those things that have happened in the past and sees how we can maybe mitigate those to not happen in the future. We have a continuity of operations plan and government plan, so that just kind of like, what if the courthouse is wiped away? What are we going to do there? What if a department, we lose electricity for a long time in a building? Like, how are we going to operate? So we kind of look at things like that. What are the what's the infrastructure that they're going to need, and so that we can move them maybe to somewhere else and start their office operations again. There are essential functions that each office has, and so we try to keep those going for them. Also, long-term recovery, like I said, it's not the sexy work of disaster stuff, but we do have to make sure that people are getting back to where they need to be. So public engagement is probably one of my things that we do a lot out in the community where I enjoy. We do training and exercises. Recently, over this last year, Tremont did not have a great emergency operations plan. They had some new people there, and so we started meeting with them. Their law enforcement, police, and their EMS. And last October, we did a full-scale exercise with them. We were planning on about 45, maybe tops 50 people. We had over 120 people participate in the exercise, and it was great. And you can see the lower picture on the left there. That was not it. It was the one up from there. That all those people were there, and they thought it was a great exercise. Did it go perfectly? Absolutely not. But that's what we're trying to identify, are those things that maybe they're gaps, and we need to figure out how to fill those in with our planning. We also do volunteer recruitment. So like I said, we have 45 volunteers, but as people age out or they move out of the area, we're always seeking for to get volunteers. Our volunteers is a competitive process, so everybody that applies is not allowed on our rolls, I should say. It's kind of like a job interview. So you fill out an application, they have to come in and do an interview with me. I want to make sure that the volunteer candidate is appropriate fit for us, and sometimes after they go through our interview and they learn about all the things that they have to do, the training, they decide it's not the fit for them, which is fine. They also go through a background check. And if we do feel like it's a good fit, then we put them on. Community outreach. So again, I'm always reaching out to our community members just to see what they feel like deficits are in their planning, what they feel like are their hazards, what they maybe feel vulnerable, and how we can assess them. Again, we have our regroup and iPause. We also have something that's called I Am Responding, and that's how we alert our volunteers. It's an app on their phone. It doesn't cost very much every year, and so if we have an alert that goes out that we need one of our teams activated, it goes into their phone, and they tell us how soon that they can respond. So our current initiatives, I'm involved in a lot of groups. So all the groups that are listed there, I either participate, or I'm the chair of, or the vice chair of. So we do a lot of planning. The last one on the list, the Tri-County Business Partnership for Resilience and Emergency Planning, BPREP, is very new. We've only met 2 times so far, but we're looking at businesses in that private sector to help us with our needs. Because as we know, with shrinking dollars and government, we also need some players that can bring in things that maybe we can't get. So that's where we're looking at that. So when we say Tri-County in those, that's Peoria, Woodford, and Tazewell. I've worked with the Peoria emergency manager for probably over 20 years. He also came from the public health sector. And so we do a lot of things as a group with Peoria, Woodford, and Tazewell as a region. So we're just not duplicating and people are going to meeting after meetings, because some of the same Ameren people are going to 3 meetings. Instead of going to 3, they can go to 1. So it's a better use of their time. And looking at some future goals for us, we're always looking at strengthening those regional partnerships. We want to also increase our volunteer capabilities, so we're going to talk about that, like I said, in a minute here, because I want to highlight them. But we're always looking at how can we better serve our community, and what can those volunteers, and how can we train them to be best utilized. We also are always wanting to do our public education. How can we make people more prepared when a disaster does strike, so that we can have them be self-sufficient and help themselves. Also, with changing technology, and I'm getting older, but we're looking at how we can integrate GIS, AI, and data analytics into our planning, because there's a lot of cool stuff out there where why recreate the wheel when it might already be out there, or we can generate it through technology. And then we want to promote equity in our disaster planning and response. So when we talk about whole community planning, we want to make sure that we're including the whole community and those that have special or functional needs. So maybe they have access issues, or maybe they have a disability that we don't see, but they need medication. So we're always looking to see how we can plan for those people a little bit better. So tonight I do have a few people in the back of the room there. I did want to highlight our volunteers, because that is one section of emergency preparedness that I think is a highlight with Tazewell County. Not all emergency management agencies have volunteers. In fact, Peoria County, they may have a few, but they don't have teams that are organized. So we have a communications team, a unified command post team, and a search and rescue / drone team. They like me to use the word UAV, but a lot of people are like, what is UAV? So I just put drone there. So I honestly could not do the job that I do and not serve Tazewell County without these folks. Like I said, we have 5 team leads. They're also volunteers, but they're kind of my cream of the crop people. And then we have 45 members. These people go out at all times of the day or night, 365, 24/7. And so I'm going to just highlight a couple things that they do. So for our search and rescue team, there might be a car crash at 2 a.m. The sheriff's deputies comes up on that crash. There's nobody in the car. Maybe there's a license or a billfold or person there, and so they see who the person is. They go and check on them, and they can't find them anywhere. So dispatch will get a hold of our search and rescue team, and depending on what the call is, they're like, hey, can you come out? We can't find this person. So instead of that sheriff's deputy searching or calling other people off where they are, they go out. Our guys are out there usually in about 30 minutes, and they start doing their job. It might be a drone operator that goes up there because we do have thermal imaging to where we could maybe find the person a little bit more quickly. But we have found people that way. And so it's just one of the services that we offer. We don't charge anybody when we go out for anything like that. So that's one of the neat deals that we have. We also do weather spotting. I didn't list that on there. It's not a team, but that is something that we do for the county whenever there's inclement weather out and there's a warning or a watch out, or a warning of, usually a watch, but we're kind of watching it. But when there's a warning out, we are going out there and storm spotting. Sirens are kind of a whole different issue, and I won't really talk about that, but we do not set the sirens off. That's done by TC3. That's your dispatch center. But we are in communication with them, letting them know what we're seeing out there, and we have trained spotters. So we're trying to make sure that those sirens are being set off, and yes, they have to manually push the button down there at the PSAP center, that they're doing that the best that they can. For the next slide, we have this year, these are just our hours. We do something called Volunteer Tracker or Track It Forward. So all of our volunteers keep track of their hours. And so far this year we have over 2,100 hours that they have served across our team and members. And then we're on track, I think, to beat last year's goal, and we have been trending upward ever since 2020. And our next slide shows that. I'm hoping we're going to be up where really close to 3,000. I think we're on track, Mike. it's looking that way, and we have a lot of people that don't enter their hours until a few months into and when I'm reminding them, hey, don't forget to put their hours. They're putting them on their calendar or something, but they're not always entering them. So we usually have a little influx of hours at the end. So if you would times this out, like what a normal volunteer would be paid, which is usually around $28 an hour, and you times that 3,000 hours, that's a lot of bang for your buck for free, honestly. And so that's a service that they do to Tazewell County. And a lot of people don't know that. So that's one of the things I wanted to highlight tonight, was just that we have this cadre or cache of volunteers that operate at emergency management. When you are maybe in your bed or early in the morning, a lot of times you don't know we're out. They're very discreet. They've done some search and rescues, evidence searches on different cases. We also, they called us out one time. This is one of the interesting ones. Somebody was shot, the person was murdered, and they were looking for a bullet, a single bullet, and it was a large yard. And our guys found that bullet, and it helped put somebody away that had murdered their spouse. So those are just a few of the things that our volunteers do for the county. And again, I wanted to highlight them, and I want to thank you guys for coming out tonight. I asked them if they would So again, I could talk about emergency management, and when I start going down a rabbit hole, it like goes down a real long rabbit hole. But I wanted to be kind of brief tonight. But again, please reach out to us if you ever want to come out to one of our volunteer meetings. We usually have about 40 of our volunteers there, and it's actually kind of packing our little auditorium now to where they're kind of like, we can't really add any more people because it's getting pretty tight in there on a Thursday night. So, anyone have any questions for me? Yes.
Are your volunteers reimbursed for their expenses, like fuel or mileage or anything like that?
So what we do is we have a call out pay, and a while ago it was $6 per call out. So whether they're out for an hour or 6 hours, it was $6. We recently, I think it was the year before last, Nick advocated for me, and we raised that to 10. So they get $10 per call out. So that usually like buys them a McDonald's lunch or something if they're out. But no mileage. They also, for our search and rescue guys, they have a pack that they have, and there's a list of items that they have to have in there, and they buy that all on their own. We are getting on radio, so I'm really excited about that.
I was two questions. Was going to ask, you mentioned Thursdays, is that once a month for their meetings? And my second question was about the alerts that go out to the team, how that works, if there is an issue with cell signal or something like that. Just was wondering about that.
Our monthly meeting for general membership, which we have all the teams, so if you're a member of EMA, we ask you to come to a meeting. I also have what's called a volunteer handbook. And so it says all the do's and don'ts of a volunteer. Our meeting is the second Thursday of each month. And then each of our teams also does a team training each month. So usually a member comes to at least two things a month just for general membership. Our SAR team and UAV team probably trains a little bit more than that. We have a big exercise coming up in October. So we also train with other teams. McLean County has a SAR team. Woodford has a small team. Is that the only ones that are coming that time? Peoria has a little bit. Their EMA, their search and rescues under the sheriff's department. Did that answer your question? Yeah. Oh, and the alerts. So I Am Responding, we have not really had any issues with I Am Responding that I know of. A couple of the ambulance services around here also use it. It costs $500 a year, the subscription for it. And I can't think of any issues that we've had. And what's really nice is they can say, I can be there in 15 minutes, I can't come. So then we kind of know how many people that are coming. Yeah.
If there's a problem with cell phones, we'll go back to the radio.
Yes, so in October, each year we do a volunteer appreciation night, and that is going to be the second Thursday in October. It's every October. We used to do it in-house at the EMA, and I'd run around like a like crazy on that day and get chicken and spaghetti, and we'd have it there. But we've gotten a little bit too big, so now we have it at Avani's in Pekin. They let me rent the room for $50, and they kept me a deal on the buffet for like $13. So we go out for that night. You're welcome. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. If I could, please, moving on, can I get a motion to approve the minutes of the July 30th, 2025 County Board meeting by Mr. Sin, second by Mr. Mingus. Questions regarding this? All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Mr. Chairman, can we go back to D first?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I've been gone for the past week and returned home today and found an envelope from the assessor's office in my mail, and I'm assuming a bunch of other people from Morton Township found a similar envelope in their mail, and I'm just guessing it's Morton Township and maybe in other townships. Anyway, I know the assessor's office knew this was coming, and I guess what I'm asking is there some kind of way that board members could be notified before mailings like this go out so that we can better be prepared to answer questions that we receive from our constituents about the assessments, the assessment process? I haven't seen anybody yet, but I know I'm going to be asked around town in the next few days how we can refer people to the assessor's office. These come out on a regular basis. I suspect it's an every 4-year cycle, and it's Morton Township's turn again. But I would appreciate a little advanced communication from the assessor's office, or for that matter, any county office, when we're doing something that's going to cause questions to our constituents, that we would at least have a heads up and be able better prepared to respond to those questions.
I'll make a note of it and find out. So, I apologize I missed you earlier. So, anything else? All right. Thank you. Moving on, we have item F, an in-place property committee meeting.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Sandy, will you call the roll, please?
Chairman Schneider?
Here.
Vice Chair Stahl?
Here.
Harris?
Here.
Hopkins?
Here.
Josting?
Here.
Mingus? Frail?
Here.
Schmidtkoff? Phillips?
Here.
Evercorn.
Thank you, Sandy. Can I get a motion, please, for P-25-14, I recommend to approve the change or authority for the county administrator / acting administrator for the new Justice Center Annex. Motion by Stahl, second by Mr. Harris. This is in your packet. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Thank you. This is in your packet. We discussed this at Property Committee last week. I think the main concern